Hey, welcome back. It is Chris Nichols here for Bow River Troutfitters. Just recently, we made a video teaching you all about waders. So now we're going to do what we promised. We're going to talk about wading boots today. Now, just like we pointed out in our last video, keep in mind that here at Bow River Troutfitters, we are a Simms dealer. We do love their products. So we'll be talking with the Simms boots in mind, but the stuff that you're going to learn today will apply to many different manufacturers, many different wading boots. You'll find it very useful regardless. Okay, so let's kick things off with the Simms Tributary boot. This is a great example of an entry-level boot. Functional, $200 Canadian, so it's nice and affordable. This is going to have a rubber sole, but it's a fairly standard kind of hiking boot kind of sole here. And this kind of rubber material isn't going to be as soft or pliable as some of the more advanced rubbers that we're going to talk about. So you're not going to find the grip as good as the more advanced boots. You can add sort of a hard bite stud, screwing it right into the rubber sole here. We're going to talk about studs more in depth in just a bit. That is an option if you need extra traction, but this will be the sort of bare minimum for safe wading on wet rocks and slippery river bottoms. As far as ruggedness goes, that's where an affordable boot does have some weaknesses. I mean, first it's got this faux leather kind of material. I do find that after a lot of use, this will start to flake off. You'll see the sort of fabric underneath. It doesn't really hurt the functionality, but doesn't look good. At least the Tributaries do have nice kick guards, rubber here in the front and in the back. That's where you get most of your wear. And they do give you good ankle support. So a fairly comfortable boot, fairly lightweight. The real disadvantage with entry level is just after a few seasons, they're going to look pretty worn and you're going to have to upgrade to something new anyways. So now we're looking at the Simms Freestone boot. And you'll often find this with lots of manufacturers. You'll have your entry level and you'll just have a slightly more expensive boot. These are $260 Canadian, but you get a lot more for your money. And so that makes these probably the best selling boots that we have here for most people. So one thing you'll notice with the Freestone boots, ruggedness goes up a little bit. We don't have those faux leather materials. It's actually kind of a fully rubberized outer boot. It's a little bit more rugged. We got nice kick guards here in the front and back, a thicker, heavier sole. Another big difference is look at that tread pattern. We're still talking about standard rubber here. It's not as good as the more advanced Vibram soles, but it's definitely got a more aggressive tread pattern just on its own, and it's got a way better mounting system for studs. These actually have predetermined spots where studs can go. You can also use the larger star-shaped cleats, and those give you really good grip, and they've got spaces where that fits right inside the tread. This means that you can take the studs in and out of the boot more often. It's still going to hold up. It's not just going to pull out of the rubber and make a mess, and it will give you that extra traction. For $60 more, this is actually quite the upgrade. So sometimes the manufacturers will make more specialized boots. We're not really going to get into saltwater stuff or wet wading shoes or anything like that, but this is an example of a more specialized boot. This is the Simms flyweight boot. $299, we're getting up in price, but the first thing you'll notice is it actually doesn't look like a wading boot. It looks more like a hiking shoe, and that's the point. This doesn't give you the same ankle support, but it's definitely much lighter weight. You're also going to get Vibram soles here now at this price point. Vibram is going to be a bit more rugged. It's going to be a little bit softer, so it's got good grip on wet surfaces, but this is designed with a tread that looks more like a hiking shoe. These are far more comfortable if you're going to go overland hiking, so think dirt trails or scrambling down rocky cliffs and stuff to get to your fishing spots. At the same time though, the grip is so good that a lot of our guys use these as a regular wading boot. The other thing you'll notice here, the outside, we're not using any sort of faux leather or anything like that. This is actually a welded TPU material. It's very slick, it's very strong, it's got that good stiffness that you need for support in a shoe, but it's much lighter weight. Rubber kick guards in the front, and this is a great boot if you're going to do a lot more hiking to get to your fishing spots. Okay, so now we're moving up in price to $360. This is the Simms Flyweight Access boot. Now it looks a lot like the standard flyweight boot, very similar kind of ankle support, same molded TPU construction. All this does have a nicer kick guard on the back here to kind of protect the heel. You got that kick guard on the front as well. But the big difference here is the Vibram sole. Different color, but even as you touch it, it's a totally different softness. It's much more pliable than the other Vibram soles, and it's got that flat tread pattern. Not maybe as good for hiking and stuff, but more support on rocks. Now this is interesting because what they're actually doing here is going with a softer rubber, and just like winter tires on your car, the softer the rubber, the better grip that you get on surfaces. However, the less rugged it is. I mean, Simms even recognized on their website that this softer sole might wear out a little bit quicker. You can get it resoled, but they do suggest that you go up to something like the G3 or G4 boots that we're going to talk about if you need something that's going to last a little bit longer. But this is awesome if you're looking for a lightweight boot that gives you the best grip possible with a Vibram sole. And yes, you can absolutely put some studs in here if you feel you need more grip. Okay, now we're moving up into the guide series of boots. This is what you would call a professional boot. This is the Sims G3 guide boot, around $400. And what do you get for that extra money? Well, the first thing I think you'll notice is they're overbuilt. They're very strong. So look at that ankle support, really high boot, full rubber guards all the way around the boot and the back. This also has metal grommets for the laces. I mean, this is designed for somebody who's gonna fish a lot day in, day out, and they're gonna get a lot of wear on their boots. And spending the extra money, honestly, will save you money in the long run if you're fishing a lot, because these will last more and more seasons without having to buy new boots. You are getting a Vim Tread here, but this is a bit of a stiffer Vim Tread than we saw with the flyweight access boot, so this is going to be more rugged. This again has lots of options for where you can put your studs, and it locks it inside. These G3 boots have an ESS plate, which is basically a hard plastic backer plate that goes underneath the sole, so that when the studs go in, they have that to screw into, and it just gives you more support. It means that those studs won't get lost as often, just that extra rigidity. These are made for ruggedness, and that's what you're paying for. Okay, here's the creme de la creme, and I acknowledge that this boot isn't for everybody's budget or needs, to be honest. It really comes down to if you want the best of the best. What do you get for $650? Well, this is the Sims G4 guide boot. The first thing is, it's much lighter weight than the G3, and that's a big deal because when you're walking long distances, lighter boots always is a preferable thing. So you're getting that, but you're getting the ruggedness of a full guide boot. You've got excellent reinforcement all around here. Laces are super strong but lightweight. Also, look at that tread. So this has an incredibly aggressive, ultra rugged, but still soft Vim Tread. And they actually have these TPU studs that are built in. So this is a hard plastic, which will give you excellent grip, but it won't damage people's boats or, nice wood floors or anything like that. At the same time, you can remove these. They've got screws in each one, and then you can put aluminum versions in if you really do need that extra grip. So you have something where you can change back and forth at will for more grip if you need it, or a softer cleat so you don't damage soft surfaces. This is going to give you the best absolute stability and safety when you're wading, and yeah, $650, that is a premium boot. All right, to stud or not to stud, let's talk about what these do for your wading experience. So first off, you've got little studs like this, which just screw right into the rubber sole. These are the hard bite cleats. They're a carbide material, zinc plated to prevent corrosion, and they're very strong. I mean, the idea here is you can walk across asphalt pathways and stuff like that. You can go across a lot of different rocks, hard surfaces, and they will stand up and generally don't need replacing very often at all. On the softer rubber soles, these might pull out or fall out with use, but on the more advanced boots that especially have the reinforcing plates under the sole, these will grip really nicely. This is a very similar product here. This is the same carbide hard bite cleat, but in a star-shaped pattern. And on some of the boots, this will fit really nicely into the soles, and then they won't spin or twist, so they really stay in place. They give you a little bit more grip as well. And you can also get these in an aluminum version as well. Aluminum seems like a soft material, but it does hold up to good use. They're easily replaced if they wear out, and they do grip really nicely. So the main advantage of studs is that you're going to get that extra grip on hard surfaces. They cut through the slime, they cut through the moss, and they really grab onto hard surfaces. And if you are worried about safety, you don't want to slip, you don't want to get injured, they can absolutely be worthwhile. The only real downside to wearing studs is they'll make clickety clacks on hard surfaces, and they will wear out eventually, but also more importantly, they'll damage soft surfaces. The main thing that's going to happen as an angler is getting into somebody's fiberglass boat. Unless they've got carpet down or rubber down, you do not want to be using hard cleats on those boat surfaces. You will scratch all of that stuff up. But in a lot of cases, I tend not to use cleats. I feel like Vim still gives me a good purchase on slimy rocks, but sometimes in certain conditions or certain rivers that are known for having very slippery surfaces, cleats can absolutely save your day or maybe even your life. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about is just the fit of your wading boot, and this is pretty standard. I mean, Sims is a company size their boots the exact same as your shoes, and it should be just like wearing shoes. You got to get in the shop, you got to try them on, they have to feel comfortable. The best thing to do is just have a boot that fits your foot well. Now we're going to be using stocking feet just like we'd have in our waders to test that. Of course, you want to take that into account. And the only thing I would say is this: if you're going to err as far as size goes, sometimes err on the size of going a little bit bigger boot than you might need. If your heel's slipping a little bit, that's not the end of the world, but you don't want your toes crushing into the front of the boot. That's really bad. not only for your actual feet, but also for the neoprene part of your waders. Your toenails and stuff will actually wear that away if you're jamming them in all the time. The other thing too is having a little bit of extra space is nice. If you're going to fish in colder waters, you can wear a thicker sock and it will still fit you properly. But most importantly, just get down to a store where you trust the staff and try on all the different boots. Find something that feels good for you. Hopefully you guys found this very educational, this whole concept of different wading boots and what you're getting for your money. It's a lot like waders. The more money you spend, generally the more rugged the boot is, and that will pay dividends over years of fishing. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer that, so absolutely leave those below too. Definitely check out the video we did about choosing waders as well, because you're probably looking for both right now. Thanks so much for joining us. Like, click that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss our videos. We'll see you soon with more Bow River Trout Fitters.